All right. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. All right. Good evening, Facebook. How is everybody on this evening? Just come on in. Come on in and tune in with us. We've got an exciting night tonight. And hopefully you were with us on last night when we interviewed one of our other I Am a Black Man Kings, Mr. Melvin White. And so this is all week long, everybody. So invite somebody. Please share. Okay. You know what I'm going to tell you about sharing in a minute. Okay. So if you're tuned in, you want to share. All right. So we're going to go right into it. I'm going to do a couple of little things before we get started. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Carolyn Stevens, CEO and visionary of I Am a Black Woman and the I Am a Black Man projects. All right, and sitting next to me on this lovely screen here virtually is our host for this evening, none other than Boss Lady herself, Miss Darshelle McAlpine, CEO of Boss Lady Press, and now CEO of Boss Lady Media. All right, how you doing on this evening, Miss Darshelle?
Come on now.
Yeah, she's a medium, what do you call that? Mongo, what do you call that? Big time. That's the only thing we know. Okay. She's doing it all, and she's doing it live, So anyway, well, before we introduce our guest for this evening, I want to take care of a little bit of housekeeping. Okay, because Darshelle and I are still in the giving mood, so you need to share. Remember, I told you last night that we want you to share this broadcast, okay? And every night, for all the nights that we're on, we're going to put your name in a drawing. We're going to have a winner, and you're going to win something, okay? Going to win something. So remember, last night I said for everybody that shared the broadcast, they were going to win a free copy of the ebook of I Am a Black Man, Ascension of the King. So I have the names of the people, and I want you to see it. I have not opened it, okay? I have the names of everybody who shared this broadcast on last night. The only people that are exempt, okay, are I Am a Black Man King authors. They can't win. Y'all can't win, y'all, okay? And Darshelle and myself. We can't be in the drawing. Anybody else, okay, can be in the drawing, all right? And we had a couple of people that did share. So I'm about to go ahead on, and I don't know who it's gonna be. I'm just gonna pick
my name in there.
Your name not on there because you did share.
Come on.
So I got somebody. So let me open it up here. And the winner, you know what? This is something else. The winner is Patricia Johnson.
Oh, come on, Patricia.
Let me tell you something. When she shared, she put a post that said, I better win.
I think she done laid hands on her post so she can win.
So Patricia Johnson, if you're out there, you are the winner of an ebook, the ebook, I Am a Black Man, Ascension of the Kings. You are the winner. So on tonight, okay, tonight, and I'm telling you, tonight, you don't want to miss this now. For everybody who shares this broadcast, okay, are you ready? You got to share. And we're going to go around and we're going to look, because I was looking at all the people who shared. Tonight, we're going to put your name in the drawing, and you're going to win one free hard copy. That's the paperback copy, okay? Where you can put your hands on it of I Am a Black Man, Ascension of the Kings. So everybody, you need to start sharing. Okay, you just need to share. And we're fair, because even if you shared after the broadcast, I still looked at people who shared after. Okay, but we just got to know, you can't share to your group page. We want you to share to your public page. All right, so we're gonna have some fun tonight. Listen, I put my good earrings on tonight for this guest.
Okay? I see.
Beautiful earrings. I love those earrings. Come on.
Tonight. Yep. I put a little bit of bling on because I knew who we had coming on tonight. All right, I knew who we had coming. On tonight, we have one of our king authors, none other than the man himself,
Yes.
Mr. Damian Valentine. And I am
Those are those.
particularly excited because I had to send out the CIA, the FBI.
Come on now.
I had to send a whole lot of people out in order to catch this busy fellow to get this interview. So I had to kind of somehow dress up Darshell for the occasion because I worked hard to get this brother because he is a busy brother. This is an entrepreneur. This is a businessman. This is an author. And then I found out he's a singer. I don't know if I want to say singer rapper. Okay, well, he's gonna tell us a little bit about that. Okay, he's an actor. I mean, he does a plethora of things. So we're just grateful that he just took out some time for the queens to come and sit. So tonight we're going up close and personal with Mr. Damian Valentine himself. How you doing on tonight, Damian?
Well, first of all, I want to give praises to God and for the queens and the kings as part of this movement. I'm blessed and I'm well dressed, and I'm glad to be here. I've seen this go from a thought all the way to the beautiful place that it is right now, and I'm just so happy to be a part of it. So happy. Thank you for having me here.
Well, we're glad to have you. But I'm going to sit back because we got the queen herself. Now she's going to be shooting the questions tonight. So I got to get me a paper and a pen. I don't know what's going to happen here. But anyway, Ms. Darshell, it's on you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I am so excited about it. I tell you what, I like to refer to Mr. Valentine as the hardest working man in showbiz.
Yes.
Look, and you got to chase him down. If you want to spend time with Mr. Valentine, you got to find him first. You got to call him. You got to get in his Instagram, on his Facebook. You got to send him a message. You got to inbox him, and you need to leave a voicemail.
You forgot, and you got to send a pigeon with a message
carrier pigeon. Mm-hmm.
It works.
Singing telegram. You got to do what you got to do to get with this brother, because this brother got things to do, places to go.
The pigeon worked. The pigeon.
He said the pigeon will work.
I say, oh wow.
So he is truly a BMW, a black man working. So I'll tell you what today, Mr. Valentine, tell us just a little bit, just graze the service. We ain't got time for all your ventures tonight because you got a lot of them. Tell us what you're doing.
Woo. Most importantly, what I'm doing is following God's orders. I'm here on an assignment. Anybody who knows me, I'll talk about the assignment that I'm on. And it's all positivity, but it started with me raising my son, and I saw that a lot of young men don't have father figures. So I started the Young Kings Mentoring Organization. The K is for knowledge, the I is for integrity, the N is for nobility, and the G is for gentlemen, okay? So I learned that there's a lot of broken-hearted women out there. There's a lot of young men that become leaders and CEOs and powerful positions who never learned how to be a man. See, they went to school, so they were smart. They got a degree, so they were successful. But then in their homes, their families were falling apart. At their jobs, nobody liked them. They were bosses instead of leaders. And with themselves, most importantly, they didn't have the self-esteem that they needed to love a woman, let alone themselves. So the Young Kings does all of that and more. So that's where I love to start at. That's the anchor of my life. And I'm working on just getting more male mentors out there, and even the queens too, because one of my major things is teaching the young men how to be kings so they know how to treat a woman like a queen. Okay, so it's very important. Yeah, it's very important. So from there, I also became an author because I wrote the I Am a King rap along book, and this character is my son at the age of 10. That's the age I got custody of him.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's
beautiful.
It's amazing. There's a whole story behind this, and that'll be for another time, but this has been the vehicle that has actually driven me to my success with the Young Kings, and even having, me right here in front of you queens and all of that. It's just amazing. So an author, an actor, you guys know me from Diana Patterson, A Few Good Men, the stage play that changed my life, that after I performed, hopefully changed a lot of other people's lives, where I play the role of a man named Derek that's just trying to get closer to the woman's son, but she doesn't want that because every man that's involved leaves her and her son broken. So I just named a few ministries and a few assignments I'm on, but all of them are to empower, uplift, and to bring some positive to the community and to everybody's life and world. And I'm proud to be a part of this, and I'm a Black man.
Yes, indeed. Now, we just listening to you talk, there's a theme running through your life and through your projects, and that is one of kingship.
Yes.
And of course, then you came to this project, and it's Ascension of the Kings. Talk to me about how you became a part of this project, because you're one of the few people I didn't run down. So.
Right. You know what? I always tell people, the people that you run with, you can either run into a brick wall or run into the road of success. So in this journey here, I was surrounded by powerful brothers, Kenneth and Paul, and, just some of the brothers that I was already doing the play with. From there, I was told about this book. I was told about this movement. I said, man, I don't have time for another movement. What's going on? There's so much going on. Let me tell you, God knows how to make room for the things that you need to be a part of. So I was obedient, and I got around everybody, YouTube queens. I got around y'all and around the other authors and the other, people that are involved. And I said, man, this is where I need to be. This is what I'm about. The I Am a King, the movement, the Black man, showing. I think the Black man is one of the most powerful things that exists.
Yes.
And I'll go into detail another time. That's a whole nother show. I can go. But with that, I was told about the assignment that I had to do, and I thought it was gonna be easy because I'm a writer. I write songs, I write music, I write motivational speeches. I'll be very honest and say, within my years, it's one of the hardest things that I actually had to do and complete and go back and revise. And it brought me back to my childhood. It brought me back to the pain. It brought me back to so the survival mode I was in. It brought me back to my journey of being a king. So that's how I got a part of it, just by being part of this awesome group already, from the actors. And it led me right where I needed to be, here with the queens and the kings. And I really appreciate it.
So you have heard for Facebook land, you've heard him refer to Diana Patterson's play, A Few Good Men. Everything Grows in the Valley, A Few Good Men, and it is based on her book, Everything Grows in the Valley. And I always like to be a blessing and give a shout out, because we can promote each other and we can lift each other up.
Amen. All family.
And as a part of that project, we met Damian, and I actually vaguely remember making a public service announcement at one of these saying, look, I need some guys to write these stories. We had a few guys show up, and for different reasons, they weren't able to complete it, but Damian followed through and is a part of this incredible project. And I tell you what, if you haven't done so already, stop what you're doing. You can open two screens if you got that iPhone. I heard somebody that went over to an Android here lately, but if you got that iPhone,
me out there like that. That's another show.
You can click it, open another screen over there, and you can go to www.bossladypress.com and order your copy of I Am a Black Man, Ascension of the Kings.
Amen.
You can do that today and be a blessing to these brothers and support this movement. And now we are back to our regularly scheduled program. Dr. Carolyn, it looked like you chomping at the bit. You got a few, 2-3 things you might want to say.
I just, I was listening to what you were saying, Damian, about when you were writing, and because you already had experience as a writer, that you thought going in, okay, I can do this. Right. And then you said that as you were writing, and then you had to review it and all of that, that you hit some spots
right.
that were really kind of painful for you. And so, and you raised your son by yourself, which I gotta give it to you. I gotta give it to you, King, for
Thank
that.
you.
It's very few men that I know of personally. I know there are lots of men that are doing it. So kudos to all of you kings out there that are doing it. But so I guess my question that I wanted to ask you is, as much as you can share,
Right.
as a Black man, what has been, and I don't know if if you thought about this when you were writing, but what has been like the most painful experience that you've had to encounter in your life as a Black man?
I would say, it's funny because I always focus on the positive and the blessings. Even when it's raining, I see the sunlight. So I'll be honest and say that's a difficult question for me, because even the hard times, I look at God giving me a lesson, and I don't focus on the struggle. But I will say the anchor of my life, has been my son. It's why I do everything. It's crazy. As much as I've been praised throughout my years for raising my son, it's something that I really, I appreciate it, but then I think about who we are as a Black man, that we even get celebrated for doing something that's supposed to be normal.
Wow, yeah.
Okay,
I get it.
And I think about it. They say, "Oh, that's your only child? Oh, well, how did you get him? Oh, why you?" We have these stereotypes on us. And as much as I'm celebrated for being a single father and toughing it out, to me, that's what I knew. To me, it's not a turn up. I love the way he turned out. I turned up for that. But through the process, I'm just doing what I do. You have these people like yourselves. People look back and they say, "Oh man, y'all are so phenomenal. Y'all are doing this great thing." And y'all like, this is like breathing to me.
Yeah.
That's what I know how to do. And that's how parenting was for me, being a father. Like, as soon as from one day to the next, he was in my custody. And I was just doing what I had the blueprints to do that my father did for me. So it was easy. So I would say one of the most difficult things was raising him, and still from some people not getting appreciated for what I was doing. It's funny that a lot of times you get the mothers, they're in these positions. I was the man in the position.
Yeah.
I started to realize there's nothing that you can do to please that other side. So you just do what you do.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Just so I'm clear, what does that mean when you say there's nothing you can do to please the other side?
Like as a father, I never tried to force anything on my son. He looked at me, so, "Oh, you play basketball, I want to play basketball. I see you can throw a ball, I want to throw a ball. You dance, I dance. You rap, So I just try to be open and do what he does, but what he wants to do. But the other side, like his mom or that side of the family, they'll always judge and say, "Why you doing that? Why you got him in sports? Why you?" And it's like, you start to realize, there's nothing that you can do that would be right, So for me, I just did what God told me to do. I got different opinions and suggestions from different people, from friends, from family. You should do this. You should do that. You should. People that don't even have kids. So,
right.
You know what I'm saying? So some of the hardest thing was losing people. Losing people that, you got to be careful for people who know too much about a situation they ain't never experienced, to the point that they're really, willing to judge the way that you do it. So through that process of raising my son, I lost some friends. I stopped talking to some family, and I started listening more to God. So I would say throughout my time as a Black man, like I haven't had too many racist encounters or issues on the job necessarily, but just being that man, I was a single father raising his son, being like this rare thing. It was almost like a catch-22 for me.
You mentioned that. So you mentioned two sides of it. You talk about, people looking at you like you're an anomaly. You're this you know, oh gosh, it's a Black man raising his son by himself, like you're just this, you know, phenomenon. But on
Yeah.
the other hand, you have these, as you're doing that and obviously doing it well and handling business and doing what you need to do, just like any female would raising their child.
Right, right.
Your questions and your decisions are constant. The things that you come up with are constantly questioned or not looked at
Right.
as valid because you're
Right.
a man. So you got these two things. I don't want to be celebrated for taking care of my son, but I still need the recognition that I'm taking care of my son. I got this. You know,
Right,
I don't.
Yeah.
And I think that often
Mhm.
with male and female relationships, and I'm gonna put this out there, Dr. Carolyn, and then I'm gonna back off of it.
Go ahead,
All
and
right.
put
I
it
think
out there.
oftentimes in a relationship or in a situation where you have this child, and then these two parents decide that they can't make it for whatever reason, the issues that arise or the lack of gratitude or some of the other things that we see are not related to what you are or are not doing well. It's
Mhm.
related to the brokenness in that person
Amen.
around what's happening or what has happened.
Come on,
And
say it. Say
unfortunately,
it.
rather than dealing with our own issues, our own soul, our own level of brokenness, we cover that up and say, I'm really just concerned about the welfare of the child. When your issue isn't, is the child being taken care of well? It is,
Amen.
I'm really still a little bruised by this, or I feel like I
Yeah.
need to control something here, and the only thing I have access to control is this child, and I'm going to use
Right.
how I feel to do that. And I think we see that in
Mhm.
a lot of relationships. Talk to us about how you would,
Mhm.
how do you think, how well do you think you navigated that?
Mhm.
And how would you, what would you suggest, what would you do differently if you had it to do over again?
Um, as far as the um relation part, you mean like with his mother and dealing with it, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would accept things a lot earlier than I did,
Okay.
which is, you know
I get
what,
that. Yeah.
you know, yeah. Sometimes we fight when the decision has already been made.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
Gotta
I'm
talk
saying?
what you know. Yes.
It's like the game is over and you keep trying to get points. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know why you even made all them points. The game over.
Hallelujah.
I love it. I love
We in
it.
church right now.
Right.
I'm about
Talk
to make
about
some
it,
other
Damian.
collection plate in a minute. But you know, but so for me, my family, my friends, his mom, I had all of these different directions that I was listening to. Even my parents. My parents are amazing. But my parents, like, I had to decide what was best for me
Mhm.
in this situation. And I left out of school. I was attending Preview with a 4.0 when I got the phone call. I ain't going to give too much of the book.
Yeah, because then I'm gonna have to fight you.
But my life changed from one phone call. And I made a decision then. And it's one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. And God was just ordering my steps. Now, along the journey, I stumbled, I failed, I got the bruises because I didn't accept some things earlier on. You're not going to please that person. That
Right.
person got some advice that's good, but that's not good advice for you. You need to listen to that person. Don't listen to that person. You
Right.
know, those were the things that was so important through the journey because I couldn't change my destination, but the way I went about it, now I can look back at that young man and say, hey, keep your head up, keep going, do this. Don't listen to nobody tell you nothing about you that God has already told you about yourself. You know,
And I can preach all by itself right there.
Now that,
that's the whole, yeah.
that's good.
And I'm able to share that with the young men that I mentor that are going through the same thing. I give them a piece and I let them put the rest of it together. But in the end, man, I'm just glad I was more obedient than I was rebellious with the Lord. It's miraculous.
How about that?
I want to say, you know, I'm intrigued right now. I'm concerned right now about our community. When I say concerned,
Mm-hmm.
and so I do work in social services. It grieves me to say this, but so 90% of the time when I'm called on a case, it's because I am working for a mom who may have lost her children to the system. And I come in to help with the reunification case.
Right.
There are times when that's a dad, and maybe he's gotten the children because mom, you know, had some other activity going on, and dad stepped in, right?
Right.
And unfortunately, I have to say that, and I mean the dads that I have worked with, I'm gonna tell you, they were so beautiful. I mean, they were doing everything to fulfill their case plan, because maybe mom was on drugs or just decided she wanted to live her life, whatever the case may be.
Right.
But there was such a lack of resources available for a man who was trying to parent and get the children. Because here's this brother saying, okay, mom's got some stuff going on. I'm not judging her, but I got to step on up. So here I am now in the system. I'm trying to get my children back. Help me get my kids back. Like I had a client who was a man, and he just literally broke down and said, Dr. Carolyn, here I am, a brother trying to step up. How y'all talk about us that we don't usually step up. I want to step up, but what I'm saying, I do need some help. And it looks like, you know, society won't help me because I'm a man. But if I was a woman, there'd be all kinds of help.
In the system. Oh, I got caught in it. I got caught in it, you know, and just like what you're saying, I was one of those guys, you know. I think people don't really take the time to think about that. It's not really the fact that a lot of men are not doing what I'm doing. It's not a lot of resources for us when we're on that end of it.
Okay.
And it's like the court already got their mind made up. You know what I'm saying?
So
because
true.
it works. That justice system works for the women. You know, that is what it is, because for the most part, it is women. You know, like you said, you said 90% that you dealt with, and the other percent has been men. So, but like me, I was in that position, and I don't want to again give too much because I talk about it in the book. But I was in that position to where, you know, I was helpless. They said, "Sir, you know, it's gonna take this longer or longer." You know, I don't know. All you can do is keep calling us. Hire an attorney, and they may be able to help you. You know, and it was you know, it's bad when you're in that position, and the other side knows that the justice system is in there on their behalf, so they abuse you every way they can. You know, they talk to you crazy. They tell you, you know. So for a man, it's not set up for us to necessarily, I won't say win, but you know, for us to be as successful when we're trying to do the right thing with our child and have to get custody. I'll say this: there was no justice system, there was no attorney, there was no attorney general, no facility that made my situation what it is. It was nothing but God. That is it. And read the book and you'll see the story for those who are listening.
And we're going to pause right here for a commercial break. I want you to go to www.bossladypress.com and get your copy of the book, I Am a Black Man, Ascension of the Kings. And now we are back to our regularly scheduled program. Mr. Valentine, I hear you talking about the differences between how women are treated in the system and how men are treated. And this really became apparent to me with my brother. I've never seen a man fight harder and longer through things that many men would have given up, many women would have given up. If he had, and then not having, you know, you see my brother, he's a big dude, you know, so if somebody haul off and hit him, he can't slap him on the floor. You know what I mean? The things that he has to maintain as a man in order to represent in his neighborhood. And I never understood what it was like, because that wasn't my story until
Right.
I watched him really fight to be in the lives of his children. And
I
it
get it.
was contingent upon, you know, if this person felt some kind of way on a particular day, and that's what you was working with on that day. And
On
if
that
this
day,
person it was in a
minute.
good mood or wanted to do something else and you were convenient, and it worked out that way. And I can, and oftentimes, and we've heard this, and if you read the books, you'll see some of this, where men were fighting and fighting and fighting for that opportunity to be a part of their child's life, and just got tired.
Oh,
Just got tired. Just said, and how many young girls and young boys don't have a father, again, because that mother did not manage her personal issues.
That's
In
right.
her mind, she believes a lot. She told herself that I'm doing what's best for my kids. But at the end of the day, that mother is really just using her brokenness. She's parenting out of that brokenness and using that to control the situation. And you're in a situation where this man is dangerous, and that's a whole different set of issues. But making up that he's dangerous and he's not, and
that ain't right. I'm not dangerous.
putting that in his life. So how do you think, having gone through it, I mean, you've gone through it, you're on the other side. Obviously, I've seen your son. He's beautiful. You're doing a great job. You're taking great care of him, and he's your priority. You say that every time I've talked to you, every time I've seen you talk about other things. I mean, come on, he's on the front of your book. He is your priority. And I just think that's beautiful.
It's my life.
And what it must breathe in his life to have that level of support from you. But now on the other side of it, because he's, you know, dang near grown. I mean, he's close to it. He's a big kid. So when you get to that stage, how do you, looking back, what would you tell another brother having to navigate? And not to say this is your situation, but a crazy baby mama. My husband always say, stay away from the crazy ones. He tell my boys, stay away from them crazy ones. He say some other stuff I'm not gonna repeat, but he say, stay away from. What would you tell a brother desperately wanting to be in the life of that child, about how important it is to push through and deal with that craziness?
Yeah, I'll say 2 words: keep going. Keep going. Let me tell you, nothing stopped me. Me getting cussed out didn't stop me. Me being talked about didn't stop me. When it rained, I drove to him still. No matter what was going on, I took off from work. It was Father's Day. I drove down there, spent the day with him, drove back. I kept going. No matter how discouraged I got, I kept going. Because it wasn't for me, it was for him.
Right.
As a father, I took the back seat to myself because I knew, and I used to tell my son, I could not be here tomorrow. I'll raise you and teach you with such, I expedite the process, and with all the love and all the concern and the care and the lessons that I can, because I know when I leave, there won't be another man that will leave an impression in your life like I will. So your lessons are going to be faster, harder. You know, I told him, you know, and of course there was a lot of resentment, but now he gets it. And I knew the outcome. So I would tell that brother, keep going. Don't let nothing discourage you. With my father, nothing stopped him. I was raised as a child on a college campus because my father kept going. They told him, drop out of school, get a job, and raise him. He said no, and he kept going. He didn't have to. He could have, just gave me to my mom, but he kept going. So for every young man that's out there that may be listening, or for a mother that's raising a young man, I need you to tell him, don't let nothing discourage you. I don't care how so-called crazy a baby mama is, or in my case, it was a situation to where the husband was even involved. So it was 2 against 1. They both hated me for whatever reason, probably because I'm a child of God and I'm a bad black man, but that's okay.
I love it. I love it.
That's all right. That's all right. So the thing in the end, and some of the reasons I had to back away from some of my family is because I was so humble, but they were so frustrated that they wanted me to retaliate. There was 2 words at that time that got me where I'm at, and it was be still.
Mm.
When they was doing me wrong, and when there was a situation where I was taking care of them, but child support was still being taken and they wouldn't get no money back, be still. It was so many situations, be still. My family, they say, no, we need to get there. We gonna be still. Because I knew in the end, God was going to work it out for me. I did not know how. I still to this day know that the devil's so mad because he had a plan. And there was some unextraordinary events that happened that turned into a blessing. Keep going.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going and be still. Dr. Carolyn.
I'm a little curious, Damian. I was a single mom for a long time. I tell people, even when I was married, I was a single mom. Okay, and I know Darcelle's been single, so I don't think I've ever asked a man this question. So you'll be the first one I'll ask.
All right, let's go.
So I know how it was for me when my children were a little bit younger, and I was raising them, like even into their teens, and I wanted to date. But I had kids. Okay, so I never asked a man this question, but why you wiping your forehead? No, no, I just picking with you. But so I want to know, what is that like for because I never even dated a man that was taking care of his children. So what is that like for when a brother is in that position where he's the single parent, he's got a little kid, and then you gotta you gotta date. You know what I mean? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah. So if anybody knows me, they can't really say that I had too many girlfriends at all. Throughout my life growing up, it never was my priority coming up in middle school, high school, or in college. When I got custody of my son, it became even less of a priority for me. If you ever hear any stories about me that, I like to turn up and do all this kind of stuff, those people don't know me. Because for all the time I was raising my son, he had a major disconnect from his mother. I was raising a son that was hurting because his mom stayed 2 hours away and never came to see him. I was raising a son that was hurting because she let her husband dictate their relationship and verbally abuse him. So for me, I had to make a decision to be so careful with who I chose to bring around him to date, that it wasn't being picky because of somebody look a certain type of way. It was, oh, you single because you want to be single, or you want to play. People had all these shallow reasons why, just because, oh, you look like or you seem like because you do music or whatever. Listen, I'm so deep and past the shallow surface that a lot of people in the society see as a black man, that I disconnected myself from a lot of people, and it was me and my son. And for those out there who has another story, look at my book and look at my journey and look at what I'm doing and look at, you know what I'm saying? Because some people, they feel like they know you because they knew you for this time. You knew me from high school. You knew me from, but see, the people that knew me from one day to the next, having my son in my possession, I was in a studio. I wasn't ready, but I was prepared. I had to quickly transition from a studio to a 2-bedroom with being in between jobs, you know, because I was always ready to be a father. I wasn't ready for that other room and that rent, but I was always ready to be a father and to parent my son. So dating was not a priority for me.
Okay, you better
Because,
talk about it.
yeah, wonderful women don't just walk and knock on your door and say, I'm here for you and your son, and whatever comes along with it. I know you got some things going on with the baby mama too. I'm ready for all that. They don't do that.
Same
So for
here,
me,
same way. It's on
yeah,
the
so
same. Yeah.
it's very similar. I know you're asking me as a man. My life was very similar to the one of a mom that was raising their son. You got to think about it. My son
Wow.
it was November 2010 when I got custody of my son. He was 10 years old. I don't have time to go out. I don't have time to go hang out. You know what I'm saying? Now y'all can't come over. You know what I'm saying? You know, my son got school in the morning. I drove my son to school every single day. My job was on the other side. I had a job in Maryland at the time. My son's school was at Paul Revere, all the way by the Beltway in Briar Forest. There was days where he was standing outside in the last child because I got off work late. I didn't have time, you know, but God, I know everything is for a purpose. I'm in a good place now, you know, but I know I had to go through the journey and I'm thankful for it because it made me stronger as a man, knowing what kind of woman I wanted and needed in my life and for myself. And that's dating as a single father.
Wow. I had to ask that question, and that's one of the and Darsha, I can almost kind of tell one of the things you might have in your mind right now, because as we are doing this project, what we are finding out is that Black men and Black women, we really the same. I
But for
mean,
some reason, it's a
we are the,
competition. But so I don't know why we keep competing with each other. You know,
right,
I
King.
see it all the time because we actually are in the same, you know, when we talk about a Black man, the Black woman said, well, what about me? And vice versa. We talk about the Black woman, the Black man said, what about me? You know, it's like, no, let's hold hands and let's both talk about our stories.
I love it.
I mean, because they're just about the same. Because every
Just about the
struggle that
same.
you talked about, having to sacrifice, no dating, taking kids to
Mhm.
school, turning to,
Mhm.
I mean, give up life and all that. That's the same
That's
thing
just
that
it.
single Black moms that we do. And I'm gonna say this, okay? I'm gonna say this because single moms, y'all know we say this, and then we look at Black men, Damian, and we say they don't understand. They out
Right.
there living their life. They don't get it. You know, they out there living their, you know, but when I hear a brother like yourself who raised your son, and I'm like, wow, everything he just said. I've been through that. Darcel's been through that.
Yes.
So I'm glad that we're having this conversation, because there's been so much criticism on both ends, from men and from women, and we need to stop doing that to each other, because the more and more that I talk to these kings, I mean, I am finding out, wow, you know what, we really got a whole lot in common. We are really we are just the same. I mean, we're not different. And we lost our guest for a minute, but he'll pop back on. So I mean, what I mean, Darsha, what are your thoughts about that? Because everything that
I'm
he just
sorry.
said, it's
My
just
phone died on me, so I had to get back and reconnect, you know, on my laptop. Hold
okay.
your
Well, we
back.
got you. Well, we're about to come to an end. I hate that we are, but um,
But it's another angle. We're seeing again, it's a cycle. Each time we have these conversations, we are we are we're mending the gap. When you
yeah,
got your favorite outfit on and you rip it from top to bottom, and your first inclination might be to throw it away. But if you could find a way to put it back together the way that it was supposed to be,
Oh, that's
And now
good.
that most beautiful uniform can move forward, you can wear that. You can wear that proudly. We are mending ourselves, putting ourselves back together so we can move forward. We have bought into the lies that we are so far apart, it's so different that we could never get together. But every time we have these conversations with these kings, we find out, and I say it over and over again, we are one. We're one with like experiences. And look, your trauma isn't greater than mine. My trauma isn't greater than yours. Our trauma is equal. And when we sit down and talk like this, we have understanding. And the Bible says, with all you're getting,
get an understanding.
You better get some understanding.
Amen.
Because otherwise we're lying. You see how we
yes.
We make the gap bigger because we believe a lie. And so we saying those things. Oh, they don't get it. They don't understand. And then we sit down with this brother, have a conversation. We go, oh,
there it is.
How about that?
How about, and I want to say this. I want to talk to the queens that are listening to this. I hope for somebody, this is bringing you some healing. Because maybe for all this bitterness you've had, you know, and thinking that all men didn't understand. You listening to a king tonight that is telling you he understands. He's walked these roads, he understands. And now even more so, I understand the respect that you have for single moms, Damian, because I've seen some of the things you talk about doing for them. But I want to say this for us queens, because we are nurturers by nature. That comes natural for most of us. If we see, because you know, one of the things that Darshell and I want to do with this project is not just talk about the problems, but we also want to put some resolutions out there. If we know of a brother that is raising his child by himself, where my queens at? This is the brother we need to be getting around and say, okay, brother, what you need? You need me to do the hair. If it's a girl, you need me to do the hair. Maybe you don't know how to do that. Okay, what you need me to do? You need me to do something. This is the type of brother we need to be as queens, that we need to be forming a female community around him to support him in that way, to help him for maybe the things that he may not have or have to learn or may have to struggle through just as a man attempting to raise his son. Now that's what came to my mind. And I think it's the same way for single women, don't get me wrong, because when I was raising my son, I couldn't find any brothers. I really couldn't. And I was looking for some because, hey, I was out there the best I could trying to show them how to play baseball. But, you know,
if you found one, you were scared to leave your child. Well, I'm not.
Let's don't take it right there, because
that's a whole other.
Because you didn't know
my
what
kids didn't get to spend the night anyway. You didn't get to go anywhere. Can we go? No, you cannot. But too much stuff happened to me as a child. No, you can't go.
This is so we need to be able as Black people, when we're seeing a single, whether it's a single mother or a single father, okay, right, that's when we need to become surrogates. We need to surround that single person with love and become that community and not criticize. And yes, if the government is not giving the resources to the brothers who are trying to get it right, guess what? The resources we need to be the resource.
Be a resource.
Okay, we say, okay, brother, what is it that you need? And because you out here, you a brother that's trying to get it right. Because a brother that's doing wrong, we're gonna broadcast that brother all over the news, all over social media.
Right.
But a brother that is trying to get it right, there's no celebration for him. And we want to change that part, because yes, Damian, there should be a celebration when we talk about 85% of Black households are run by single Black women. And when we got a brother that's stepping up saying, I'm here, I'm going to take care of mine, that's worth a celebration. So
we need the village to be the village. We keep talking about it. It takes a village. We need the village to be the village. Yeah. You have to take and we do that. Even, you know, I had 3 kids, but there was a time I had my nieces, my nephews. I had 3 little babies that was under 4 months in my house. That's 4 months, 3 months. I had these little babies in my house. And then I had 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, an 8-year-old. I had the kids everywhere because we were being the village. The village was coming together so that everybody could get what they needed.
Amen.
If we're going to do that, if we're going to see the kind of change that this movement is pushing, it is going to take us to get out of our comfort zones, to get, and I don't say that as a cliche, I say it as a matter of fact, to climb out of the place, to get rid of our stereotypes, to throw your book away. And let's write a new manual. Let's, as my dad would say, we got to learn a new way.
There you go.
We got to do a new thing. It's time for us to band around each other, to be the village that we keep talking about. I love it. Damian, man, you got us worked up in here tonight. Now, hold on.
Yeah, you got me. Yes. I mean, you really you really got me thinking about a whole lot of things, Damian. And I mean that when I mean that, and I don't say this other thing because I may get in a little bit of trouble saying this too. And for the sisters that talk about, I ain't dating no man that got no kids. Come on, let's just talk about it. Because there's a lot of I ain't dating no man. I ain't dating no man that got no kids. Okay. I think the fact that you were there for your son is just is so admirable. I mean, that is so admirable, you know. And I would hope that there would be many women, not in your case, but I'm talking about other brothers that are single and they're raising their children, that queens, that we would begin to kind of rethink about some things when it comes to, because I don't know, Damian, if you have ever heard women say that. You know, there are a lot of women who are like, no, you got a child, I'm not going to do that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's never been said to me, to my face, but, you know, of course, you know, there's a lot of women out there that don't want to date. And you know what? Sometimes it's not the child, it's the stereotypical crazy baby mama that's attached to it. And, oh, he a man, he might not be doing what he's supposed to do with this child. He just got him. So, you know,
right.
It's the stereotypes I had to start doing myself is past the action that someone ever had for me. I got the respect, which is more important to me. And I've been told a lot of times by, you know, single moms or women or looking at the world with, you know, in their life, just throughout my years, they said, you changed the way that I look at men. You know,
awesome.
You raised
awesome.
So for me, you know, I'm glad that God chose me for this unique situation. You know, walking and with my chest out and my chin to the sky, planted to the sky, you know? And just any young and change the mind of any woman out there who has a distorted idea of any man out there, no matter what color they are. But I am a Black man.
That part right there.
That part.
We are so grateful that you spent some time with us, Mr. Valentine, tonight. Thank you so much. And thank you, Facebook, for hanging out with us this evening. Don't forget, if you've not done it already, please stop by www.bossladypress.com and pick up your copy of I Am a Black Man, Ascension of the Kings, so you can get this brother's whole story. Because I tell you, the stories in this book are going to change. It is, I hear people say it marks a shift in the paradigm. So if you get your book, get your copy of the book and support this movement. And if you're a little low on cash and you can't do it right now, click and share. Share it to your page. Share it with your friends. Let's keep talking about this. Let's grow this conversation so that the village can be the village. And thank you for this evening, Dr. Carolyn. Take us on out.
Don't forget to click that share button so you can win a free hard copy of the book. But you gotta share this presentation tonight, because we're going to be searching. We're going to announce the winner for tomorrow. Click share, right? Click share. So our winner for tonight, she spoke it into existence, was Patricia Johnson. So Patricia Johnson, if you're out there somewhere, just know that you have won a free copy of the ebook version of I Am a Black Man, Ascension of the Kings. And on tomorrow, we're going to be announcing who the winner is, because we'll look through and see who the winner is, okay? You can order your book tonight, okay? If you go to www.bossladypress and order the book. But I'm telling you, you're going to want to get 2 copies. You're going to want one for yourself, and you're going to want one for somebody. We heard from King Author Melvin White last night. We've heard tonight from King Author Damian Valentine. Damian, I want to say to you on a personal note, I've watched you for quite some time on Facebook. I love you, brother. And one of the things that I really appreciate about you, as I have observed you, everything you do, you go hard. I mean, I watch you. You are relentless. I'm talking about, and I know that there might be people that say, man, he's just too much. Damian just goes over the top when he does stuff. But I'm going to tell you, for one, I enjoy watching you do the things you do, because you go so hard when you doing stuff. And I appreciate watching you. It motivates me. I never see you sit down. I don't even think I can imagine a week that I've never seen Damian not doing anything.
Doing something.
It's always, what is Damian getting ready to do? And so I just want to tell you that I admire that. I admire your tenacity. I love your relentlessness. It is very contagious. And I just really, and you've always been a nice brother from the day I've met you. You got the right last name, Valentine. I thought about that, because you're also a very, very loving. You know, when people see you and you're very coiffed and dressed and all of that, they probably say, you know, that brother probably hard to approach. But I want to tell you, Facebook, no, he's not. He's a very approachable man, and he's a very sweet man, and very, very kind. Yeah. So I wanted you to know that I truly love you. Thank you so much for sharing this experience with us and being on this project. And thank you for coming and hanging out with us queens on tonight. In Facebook, you have heard it. Okay. Go to his page and check out some of the things he's doing. Go and look at the book that he has constructed with his son's picture on it. All right, I Am a King. You need to check that out. And he's got some other things that he is doing. So there's the book. There's the book. All right. So you need to order that book for your sons. Okay. If you're raising some sons, you need to get that book. But go on his page, because he's got some other things that he is doing. All right. And support this king. This is a king that's trying to get it right. All right. And he's doing a real good job of it. Thank you all so much for tuning in and being a part. I'll be checking out Facebook to see who's been sharing this session on tonight. All right. Well, you've been sharing, so you're going to go into that drawing so you can win your free copy, okay, of the I'm a Black Man book. I want to send you lots of peace and lots of love. Blessings to all of you. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Good night.
Good night.